Cool. I believe we are live.
We're live.
Welcome. We're
It
live.
feels
We're good.
it,
This
it
is
feels like it feels like we're live.
it feels like we're live. We got a nice little countdown, and yeah, welcome everybody. Quick little context before we dive in. We're going to try and keep you busy for about 30 to 40 minutes. I know everyone's busy, so this is about bite-sized insights. Obviously, that's what we do here at CXL. We find the greatest minds out there and mine them for insights that everyone can add to the little piece of the puzzle for their own things. So we're just a little housekeeping. It's not one of those events where anyone can talk or raise their hands. No questions will be asked. So basically, Adam and I are just going to have a conversation. I'm going directly after the insights in Adam's mind. So I'll be asking more kind of questions and driving the conversation. And then we'll be listening to what Adam has to bring to the table. So today's topic is how to monetize free users, specifically in the SaaS business. But I believe this can work for anything else if applied correctly, using the Russel Brunson GTM Playbook. Quite interesting. And today we've got Adam Robinson, seasoned B2B entrepreneur. And I'm going to let you quickly do your own introductions because I think you can tell it the best. RB2B, retention.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing at your businesses, and what you bring to the table for the audience.
Yeah, so like I'm a founder and I have two SaaS companies that I operate. One's called retention.com, one's called RB2B. I'm day-to-day in RB2B. Retention.com, my co-founder is like the manager of it or whatever. So these companies, both of them do person-level website visitor identity. So someone can hit your site, they can take no further action. And for retention.com, we sell the e-commerce stores and we resolve them to a personal email address, and it facilitates a bunch of workflows, like expands the audiences of abandoned carts, of abandoned website. It's like abandoned products, like it's a bunch of abandonment flows that are very specific to e-commerce. Our B2B, our TAM is the B2B space, and it's a freemium model, and we're still figuring out the product. It's not quite there yet, but we push a LinkedIn profile and headshot into Slack, and we went 0 to 4 million ARR in 9 months. So it's not all bad. We have a long way to go in terms of actually messaging and selling and onboarding our products correctly with the correct set of expectations. So like that's what 2025 is going to be all about for us.
Everyone's challenge at this.
Yeah. Well, I think this PLG stuff is it's so hard, right? Because like, especially because my audience is very large on LinkedIn, and I think the majority of them are like kind of early stage founders, and like they want to believe in me and my product. And like the reality is, if you don't have anyone visiting your website, we can't identify anybody, and it just is like, it's very easy to create this like emotional sort of excitement and depression.
Yeah, I get it. Like over the past few years, there's no promise that got me clicking quicker than that. Like we can tell you who's on your website, and in some cases it works. In some cases it just doesn't, because your typical browser is not number one on that business account sometimes, and number two, you just don't have enough traffic, unfortunately. Yeah. And then the promise falls short. Well, cool. That's already formal. Congratulations on that. That's no easy feat. And I guess that's where everyone really wants to know how. Like, what is it? How did you get there? And I always say, like, the marketing puzzle, no one has all the puzzle pieces. And one puzzle piece doesn't necessarily work for a different company or model the same that it does for the other. But together we all have some of the pieces. And if we put them together, you can try some stuff out. And I was thinking that you're sitting with some of those pieces, because naturally, obviously, you managed to scale up to that point. So for today's topic, before we actually go into the juicy bit of how you're applying it and what it is, I do think it's worth quickly just standing still on ClickFunnels and who Russel Brunson is. Just for the people in the audience who might not know. So some of you might know him for his kind of get rich quick for founders, get your business out the door very quickly. Some of the stuff is super cringe, if you ask me. I think I've now been subscribed to his their emails for the past 2 weeks while actually researching this playbook, and it's quite overwhelming. Like, I think it's super aggressive marketing, but they do get you to like give your attention to what they're sending. There's magic here, and I mean, this guy has managed to build a company that is, if I'm correct, it's standing today on close to 150,000 active users, with an annual revenue of $265 million. So whatever they're doing, it's working. So you can say whatever you like. I've tried spending my $7 on this massive $990 discount that's on the screen right now. They just absolutely refuse to take my cards. I've tried a few of them, so I've tried to get my hands on this actual perfect webinar script, but I could not. I do have the gist of it, but I'm going to quickly, before we dive into the webinar stuff, I want to invite you, Adam, to quickly tell us what got you interested in Russel Brunson's methods, besides the fact that they obviously scaled this massive company, which is the obvious one on the table. But was there something that nudged you in that direction that said, let's try this? Did you spend the $7 on this script, or did you just kind of research a little bit and dive into it?
So I kind of heard about him in 2017 and 2018. I was stuck with my previous startup to these two, and it was just going around the community that we were like trying to sell into, and then I didn't really think much about it for many years, and really, look, like, I had this LinkedIn thing happen to me. Like, I now have like over 100,000 followers, and like I did my first post 24 months ago, and the last 12 months when I like pivoted from trying to like write about e-commerce to trying to write about, B2B. And there was just this amazing alignment. Like, I really found my angle, and like, there's this tremendous content market fit. It was creating this phenomenal awareness and signups for a product and everything else. And I was like looking around so first of all, in e-commerce, this influencer thing is major, right? Like, it is like the primary driver of a lot of massive e-commerce brands. And if you look at B2B, there's not really a CEO-led influencer example, right? He's the only SaaS that I know of. And what you said about the content, I think it's like, it's just who he is in the world that he lives in, right? Like, this is what they do to each other. Like, it's like, this is very much the affiliate marketing world. They write like that. They just
like that. They talk like that.
Pound you. Yeah. So that's not really what I was interested in, but like, I thought it was interesting that, basically the epiphany that I had was like, I think that we're growing faster than other people doing what we do. Instantly is tough because I think their product market fit and inbox rotation is so strong. And then this product is such a complement to that they might be growing this product faster than us because they have such a strong customer base for that other thing, right? Anybody else, I think we're crushing them at what we're doing. And I don't think we're crushing them because of the features of our product. I think we're crushing them because my edutainment on LinkedIn is far superior to theirs. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. But if you ask me, like, I just had this epiphany earlier this year. I was like, I'm actually in the edutainment business, and I happen to have this SaaS at the bottom of it, but it could be anything, right? And like, again, if you look across all of the SaaS companies that existed, like, I don't think anyone has had this approach before. But when I was thinking about what the go-to-market would be for our B2B, I mean, I'm really worried about outbound sales. Like, I think if you can afford to like get a box at a Taylor Swift concert and like bring a bunch of CMOs there, like, you're going to get a lot of deals out of that. And I think we're so connected that freemium offerings that are very valuable will spread faster than they ever would have before. But that whole tube of the toothpaste in the middle of like putting a college kid in front of a keyboard and having them press buttons to generate demand, like I'm very worried about that, right? Like, so I'm like, okay, if I think that response rates to email are going to be lower in 2025 than in 2024 and lower in 2026 than 2025, with absolute certainty, right? Like I'm so sure that that's the case. I'm actually equally as sure that the value of an influencer profile in B2B will gain trust, the ability to create trust at sort of an equal and opposite pace, right? Like, so like, it's like, what's the future-proof model for B2B in my situation? It would be influencer-led freemium distribution, right? Like those two trends are up and to the right, whereas sales-led, it's not, maybe it's stagnant, but like everything that I see suggests that it's getting harder and harder for people to generate demand in the ways that they used to, right? So then it's like, okay.
Just to add to that, I mean, ads are also getting worse by the day.
It's just everything's harder.
Your cost
right?
and your click-through rates and your conversion rates are just, it's diminishing by the, I want to feel like almost say by the hour. And there's this notion of founder-led, but you're not really seeing it. Like there's a lot of people talking about it, but very few people actually doing it. And the ones doing it are not necessarily super successful. There's a very, very, very select few that's really doing it successful out there. Or that's at least my observation from where I'm sitting. It's easy to go say, cool, get your people on LinkedIn, get them to add value. And I mean, I come from a brand and a content perspective. Good content is content that provides value. Yes, it's nice if you can entertain and make people laugh, but at the end of the day, people are looking for stuff that they can put to work without spending money. That's why people are on LinkedIn. If you're not there for that, I don't actually know what else you're there for. But that's very true that what you put out there, and I think it's something everyone can take home right now. Is if you're not a founder yourself, someone in your company needs to get a face out there and start adding value. 100%.
Yeah. And we could have a separate discussion about like why I think my content works and why I think it will continue to. But that's sort of a different topic, right? Like I think the reason that you see so few people breaking through in that regard is because, like, you know, if you ask me why, I'll just hit it for 2 minutes, right? If you ask me why my stuff works, it's because I'm saying things that other CEOs are unable to say who are in my position, right? They can't write about how they just laid off 40% of their teams. Their investor won't let them, right? They can't talk about being down 4 months in a row and sharing financials and saying, I don't know when this is going to turn around. But I know that's how everyone's feeling because I see how the posts do, right? Yeah, so like,
you pull back the curtain and say, this is what it's
really like. Totally. I mean, and like, that's part of my strategy. It can't be everybody's strategy, but like the point is like, the reason I'm saying that is the reason it's working is because it reflects, like, social media is the envy inducing machine. Everybody, LinkedIn for CEOs posting, it's like, you have to make your business out to look like it's the greatest thing ever. At least people think that they do. Right. Like, so that's what's happening. So it's like, how do you be the opposite of everything that's out there? And this is my way of doing it. Right. Like everybody is coming from a different perspective, but like, you have to look at the body of content that is available being produced by people like you, and you have to produce something very different if you want to have a large outcome, right? Like that's the same as a software product. You have to look at what's out there, and if you want a large outcome, you have to do something that's very different. It's not for the sake of being different. It's just that's what the world wants, right? The world does not have a lot of patience for more of the same, you know? So that would be my cat. It's like the reason that I think I have broken out so hard is because I literally think 99.9% of CEOs are totally incapable of writing what I write for a lot of reasons, internally and externally. And then I'm also working in public and I have 25 million ARR. Everybody else working in public has 1 million ARR. Yeah, right? Like who are you going to listen to, you know? So anyway,
Yeah, I think it's
But
not to stand still on the LinkedIn, but I do think it's quite important because it's an essential building block to what we are discussing today is the ability to grab interest and get someone to come to the next stage, which in this case is a webinar. Like there's a step beyond the post on LinkedIn, but if you can't put decent content on LinkedIn, you're never going to get someone to take action from that post, go to the webinar, sign up to the event. It could be in person, it could be anything. But there's action. There's an actual funnel that's built on. I guess that's where we get back to Russel Brunson is
right.
this method to that madness where it comes to create value, get interest, build that community that finds value and interest in what you're putting out there, and then get them to take action. So. And then just one thing I do want to point out, or just touch on quickly, is your almost radical differentiation point. Like if I go to a SaaS website today, I expect blue and white clinical design by like someone that's textbook UX designing a website and just putting the same stuff everywhere everyone else is doing. It's like it's getting boring. And the moment you see something that's completely radically differentiated, it strikes you, and it's a chord that you're easily going to remember. And I think you recently posted something about the guys doing your branding for RB2B, and it's very different. The little bits I've seen so far, which is it obviously plays to that point.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I just the only way to make it is to be different in a way that matters on every level. So back to this Russell Brunson thing, right? So like I'm like, who's done it in this way? Russell Brunson's the only example I see. In like B2B will kind of dismiss him because of what you're talking about. It looks bad. He's selling to these like underbelly of the internet, whatever. But like at the end of the day, the guy was able to bootstrap 260 million ARR over 10 years now, right? Like, and he went from basically 0 to 100 very quickly in 36 months. And he did it through, so by the way, he wrote a book about this phenomenon called Expert Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the underpinning thing, which when I read this, I was like, oh, that's actually me. And it's uniquely me, right? He's like, if you can get yourself into the position where your prospects are willing to pay you for advice, you've got the keys to the kingdom. You can do whatever you want, because like in the essence, the follow through to that pitch, which is kind of what we're talking about today, is like he had a software product, he had a tool, but what he was selling people was a business outcome, and he was selling them information about how to achieve that business outcome
Using his
and that. Yeah, and that information actually, in terms of perceived value, it far superseded the perceived value of the software. So then he would like, long story short, he would bundle $5,000 of information products and his $1,000 a year software for $997. So like, he gave this like elaborate presentation about, it was very formulaic, overcoming objections, everything else, which doesn't really work as well for the SaaS audience, I've learned. But like a lot of these principles definitely yeah, but we can go into that. But yeah, that was his motion, and it was a self-liquidating offer. He had this enormous TAM, which is also important to consider, because B2B, the TAM is nothing like the TAM of aspiring internet affiliate marketers, right? That's basically everybody in every country wants to make money from home, So he had this enormous TAM. He was in this affiliate world where there were enormous affiliates with enormous email lists. And he was running the show every Thursday, hour and a half long webinar. He'd drive people to it. It was this Tony Robbins style, very transformational speech, which had a 30-minute stack and close of all of the information and, you were going to get to solve this problem. And like the only way the problem could be solved was through ClickFunnels, right?
Buy my product.
And I would love to see the usage of ClickFunnels, because I'm willing to bet that people, they were buying the information and they happen to get software, and consumption of information products is like tragically low, to the point where people kind of consider it criminal, right? Like it's smoke and mirrors or whatever. no one has that information that I've spoken to, but like, I would love to see it, right? Like how much of that, 260 million ARR is actually people who are using ClickFunnels every day. I'm going to guess 20, like 50 maybe.
But I think just to touch on what you've got there, I think it's the important point here is paying for the knowledge. Really, it's the thing that comes to mind for me is like anyone can go to a gym, right? I can walk into a gym today. There's a lot of equipment, or I can buy equipment there at home. But some people still pay the personal trainer to show you how to use the equipment and how to effectively train your body. It's exactly the same thing at the end of the day. It's like here's a tool. Yes, you can click around, do basic things with it, but if you listen to my advice on how to use it, you can actually do it with any tool. You don't necessarily need ClickFunnels. You can use any website builder. You can, the same thing applies. It's the approach that you take to launching that is actually more valuable than the product itself or than the equipment. In some cases, obviously, there are products that have features that, for a while until someone else copies it, can, fulfill that hole. But at the end of the day, there's multiple tools that does the same thing. It's about the value that, or the advice that you put on the table that is actually more valuable. And that is exactly why people show up to is what I almost want to call homemade videos here. But hey, yeah, cool. So
it works for him, and it's playing out for me in a very different way. I was like hoping that it would work in a very similar way, but kind of like a month in, it just became evident that like the webinar format wasn't for me. Like the TAM isn't big enough. Like the funnel is kind of too leaky to make it make sense. But the underlying idea that people are very willing to pay me for startup advice and also take the software is proven at this point. But it is a part of our motion that will never leave.
Cool.
Yeah.
So basically what I've got on the screen here is this is when you came across my desk. I think you were having a conversation with Pepe, if I'm correct. This is now where, and I'm glad you touched on the point, because this is now what I want to get into is kind of your spin on this, because obviously we've now spoken about Russel, what kind of grabbed your attention. How are you now putting this into practice? What is the version that you're running? And I like what I can see publicly of like is the post you put out with the elaborate kind of description, the value in the post, and then you ended with, hey, I'm going to talk about this on a webinar. If you want more information, come join. That's the little piece of the puzzle that I've like seen. So what does this look like in practice at the moment? What are you getting out of it, and why do you call this future proof? Like, how is this what does this look like for the people out there who's got absolutely no idea what you're doing with this?
So I think a very important part of it is that what enables me to do it is that as Russell said, I am, for this like early stage founder, because of the content I've created over the last 18 months, I am the expert. I'm the only one writing anything like what I'm writing, right? So like I have built an enormous amount of trust with this audience. So how this looks like for us, right? We have this freemium motion. We got a churn problem, but like maybe 8 or 10% of people will just sign up and close on their own, right? So that's 90% of these signups. Like they're never going to pay us. And on one hand, it's great for them to use our free product and be viral word of mouth, but like I asked LinkedIn 6 months ago, I'm like, if I had a 0 to 1 million ARR course for $1,000, how many people would buy it? And like 1,000 people were like, I would buy it in a second. So, so I'm in this position where we have free users. I think it's great that they're viral marketing for us, but like, in the same, like apparently one of the first version of Costco, the massive retail chain in worldwide now, was like a locker room for Navy seamen to like leave their street clothes and like, whatever, use their uniform. Then like when they were in San Diego, they would like leave their uniforms, put their street clothes on or whatever. The lockers were a loss leader and they were selling them socks and shoe shines and haircuts and like whatever else, right? That was a whole business. So like, it's kind of like we have these amazing leads who will buy this other stuff, and the other stuff can actually even increase affinity if done correctly, right? So why not like sort of add this business on if, you know, we have the resources to like not distract us from who we think our highest, you know, potential long-term ICP, you know, LTV users are. So that was most of the idea. The other part of it is like, you know, I feel like the startup education that exists in the world today is not good. I think that like looking from the outside, you know, the virtues of VC are very exaggerated. You only see success stories. It wildly exaggerates the probability of your success. And for almost everyone, I met someone on Sunday who's the exception to this. He's a 6-time VC-backed founder, 2 unicorn exits already. He's working on his 3rd. That guy should raise VC. Elon Musk should raise VC to send people to Mars. Almost everybody else would have a higher probability weighted financial outcome and happiness outcome if they just bootstrapped. And so like I'm using my megaphone to like extol the virtues of that. And the other thing that the other service I want to do to the ecosystem is like, you know, we've got a few hundred people in our community now, like from doing these webinars. Most of them are 0 to 1 founders. Almost all of them are trying to do things that they should not be doing yet, right? Like people go to Nathan Lotka's event and he's like talking about how SEMrush does this affiliate strategy, and like, you know, SaaS XYZ runs LinkedIn ads this way. And like these early stage founders go try to do all that stuff and it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because there's a million ways to speed up word of mouth in the world. If you don't have word of mouth, nothing works, right? So like there's only one way to actually get to the point where you have word of mouth or product market fit or whatever you want to call it. It's like, come up with your dream 100 list, have a one-liner that makes them excited and compels them to listen to you for 5 minutes, and then say something compelling enough in that 5 minutes where it compels them to use your product and give you feedback. There is no other way to do it. And like early stage founders show up, they hear me say that and they're shocked, right? Like, so like I get a huge amount of energy from just doing this service to the ecosystem, right? Like being the spiritual leader of what it actually means to do customer discovery and give yourself a chance of success. These people don't have a shot, right? You know what I mean? Like they will, that will never, what they're trying, cold email and LinkedIn ads and stuff, if you don't have product market fit or word of mouth already, it will never work, right? So like, you know, that's another reason that I love doing it. It's like, and people really appreciate the advice. I know because I spent 3 years doing that, right? Before I somehow like stumbled across 4 steps to the epiphany. And I was like, oh man, like I have been doing this all the wrong way. Yeah, I've been doing this all the wrong way. Like I need to take a million steps back. I need to actually figure out a differentiated product, and I need to validate the customers before I do anything else, right? Yeah. Like, so yeah, that's one way to answer
that. Like I'm the past few years of my career, I was chasing this, well, let's call it an adrenaline rush of helping young, ambitious founders build their marketing engine the moment they figure out, oh, maybe it's a good idea to do marketing. And I find myself on, you know, the other side of these VC tables on the boards of exactly what you're describing now. A lot of people with great ideas that got funding and or not. And the ones who don't have funding are the ones who's having a better time because there's less stress, there's less kind of pressure from the other side of the table. That's thinking very big. Why are you not running these ads? Why are you not doing this? If your team's not doing that, you've got a problem. And then you sit with this situation where they're trying to move so fast and they're doing the wrong things and not seeing the outcomes and burning a lot of cash at the same time. And it's quite, I almost want to say it's tragic, but it's a wild environment to see and experience. So yeah, I can at least vouch from where I'm sitting.
And what's amazing to me is that it's so widespread. It's like almost a universal 0 to 1 thing, you know, because you know, like you're like, well, how else am I going to get people to show up at my door? It's like, dude, I'm telling you, listen to me or not, you'll be doing it eventually. You just have to go find them. Like, you got to walk up to somebody with a notebook at a trade show, show them what you're trying to do, and ask them if they would pay for it. And if they say no, ask them why. Right? Like, there's no other way than that.
Cool.
Know.
So just bringing us back to the webinar. So your, just to ground this now, is your primary channel of distribution here is almost your LinkedIn profile, which you're obviously doing a great job. 100,000 followers, if I'm correct, a bit more.
Yep, a little bit more. Yep.
Yeah. Engaged audience, which is good. It's obviously not. It's not just a bunch of random people clicking follow, because there's a lot of that on LinkedIn as well. Big followings with little engagement, and then you're pushing this open, honest, curtain back value, and you're getting people to either use the product, get the feedback, or to come to you for that advice. And today we're sitting on that advice side of this coin. Correct. It's that webinar, like kind of what we're doing now in different settings. So let's make this a little bit concrete for the people here. So if we almost have to take your experience now with this and we bundle this into a bit of a verbal playbook, the building blocks that I've got over here, the ones that I've kind of identified. So there's a webinar at the core of this. You use paid ads in your LinkedIn to distribute, to get people, to get emails, to get interested parties to the webinar, not to the product necessarily itself. So it's rather to the advice and the value on the table. You bundle the offer, which you gave that little insight. My next big question is kind of, what are you learning on the go here? It's not working the same it works in the Russel Brunson world, but there's some sort of offer and then some sort of urgency, right? So how would you kind of put this? What's the solid concrete steps and blocks here if someone wants to go for this?
Yeah. So, these were like his steps. Like his was like a paid ad funnel that he got people to a webinar, and then he made more on the webinar that he was paying for the ads, and he plowed it all back in, and it just kept going and going. We don't have like, I don't know what I think about LinkedIn thought leadership ads. Like, our organic effort is like so prolific that it's really hard to like see any impact from like spending 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, different, whatever. It's like a month. Like but that doesn't really matter. It's just this organic awareness is driving people somewhere, and it could either be to a free sign up or it could be to a webinar. The free signups, we're not quite there yet, but we are basically going to segment people and route them to either customers, as we say we're selling software to, or customers we say we're selling courses and community to. The latter would be those free users, right? So like that's after somebody enters the funnel. I thought we were going to be able to do that with a webinar. It turns out the funnel of a webinar is so leaky. It's like you only get so many people to show up for the webinar. Sorry, you only get so many people to register, and then so many of them show up. And then if you only close so many, it's like, Russell was able to get hundreds on every show. Like if I get 300 2 weeks in a row, that's kind of my list, right? Like I got to go back with something totally different in like the next month, whereas he could just sort of like keep having people show up. So the webinar is not the perfect vehicle to convert my LinkedIn audience, nor is it the perfect vehicle to convert my PLG signups. However, phone calls are fantastic. And so like I did, I think 4 of these webinars, and I put out a LinkedIn post last week that I think you referenced about this whole thing, the video edutainment. I got like 96 hand raisers. We've had 8 phone calls so far. Like 7 of them bought the $29.97 version, which is like just more access to us. So it worked so much better than the webinar did in terms of just like, and I think the reason why is like Russell was doing a lot of cold ads because his universe was just massive, right? And these people on LinkedIn, they've been reading my stuff forever. They've been reading my stuff for a year now. So they don't need to be given this whole dog and pony show to like need to overcome these objections they have in their head about like why they would want to talk to me and Santosh once a week, right? Like they already know that they want that. They just didn't even know it was possible. So it's like, so that's kind of the adaptation. It's like in my LinkedIn consultant, Alec, he does this with a bunch of sales trainers and B2B people. Like they teach them how to write great LinkedIn posts. And then they do a direct message sales motion on the back of it that like funnels people into phone calls. That's their whole business. So that's like one source of this. The other source is just the PLG motion that we've had for 8 months now, but like better segmenting these people and not only selling them software, like having this other, the whole shoe shine offer in addition to the software. And that looks like it is what it is going to be for me, which is very different than Russell. Like he was not involving a phone call at all. He was, he wasn't doing any of that. So, and then I don't see the opportunity to take the cash that we get up front and then plow it back into ads to speed the whole thing up. For me, I don't see it right now. Maybe there's a way if it shifts, to other platforms like Meta, like I might, if I want to start bringing that audience in, which is a very different type of audience than LinkedIn. I mean, the quality of the founders we're getting in this community is exceptional. Like for a community of people looking to learn stuff. So yeah, I think if I wanted to focus more on like an info product type funnel and I went to YouTube and Meta, it actually might look a little more like this, but what I want to focus on is like making our product better for growth stage SaaS companies.
Yeah, because you're not going on to YouTube running approval.
Like
get your business from 0 to 1 and
this is like kind of like, I wouldn't say it's the most important part of this, but I'm really glad that we have it because like there's an emotional benefit for me for like being able to provide this service to people. And look, the $997 offer is like, you get my 4 courses and you get this community and we give you a 10-day challenge. And like, the 10-day challenge at the end of it, you have what I was talking about, right? You have like your sizzling value prop, your little 5-slide pitch deck. And like, you know how to put yourself in this customer validation loop, which most people don't know. You won't have product market fit, but you'll know the path that you need to be on. And then there's a community of people all doing it, right? And then the $29.97 offer is really cool. It's that plus you get to speak with everyone on my team once a week. So it's like a one-to-many coaching call and you get to submit questions in advance if you want. And like, maybe this week you want to talk to Santosh about like, his experience at Apollo.io, or like, maybe you want to talk to Diana about like sales or whatever. Maybe you want to talk to me about marketing. Alec comes every week, so you can ask him about LinkedIn. So I just thought this was cool because there was this brand called Drift when I started to get emails and they were the hottest brand in SaaS and they were growing faster than anybody. And like, I really just wanted to ask them how they were doing it, and like, I would have given anything to like talk to Dave Gerhardt and Dave Cancel about what I was doing and what they thought about it. Right. So that's the idea of that offer. Like, we'll see if I still, in 6 months am as excited about it, but like I'm on these calls and these people like, it's kind of like the only way to lose weight is through a healthy diet and exercise. Yet like when Huberman like says, don't drink alcohol, like we're just, if you're a Huberman fan, you're just mind blown by it. It's like, oh my God, like, Huberman said not to drink. I didn't drink for 90 days and I feel like a changed man. It's like, well, that was an obvious thing, Yeah. So, but it's just the nature of the parasocial relationship that gets formed, which is the sort of cornerstone of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And then
you bring it all the way back to the beginning. It's like, if you are the expert, then you are in a position to where you can do things like this, like just give people this basic advice that they don't already know and keep them on, or they may know a little bit, but they're not really adhering to. They just need to hear that like you're doing the exact same thing as they are. And it's the only way. So don't do anything else until you've done this, right?
And sometimes you just need to hear that you are on the right path. Just keep doing this. So I just want to quickly make this practical. So then obviously through this, and I mean, this is just kind of back to human trust basics is, so you're then using this funnel rather to kind of build relationships, and then eventually the relationship turns into a sale for the business and business grows. Do I have that correct? And
that is absolutely right. It is a way. So yeah, I think it's two things. One, if for Pape, for instance, right? He's got a big LinkedIn following. He could definitely, and I think it takes a hot product also, but Pape is in a position where he could, sort of, I don't know if he'd want to, but he could blend an info business and his software business sort of and package it. Right. And by the way, one thing I want to say is Russell's business fit perfectly into this, which is why every business is different. He had a magical alignment happening for the narrative about why you needed funnels to grow your internet business. And ClickFunnels was a pivotal part of that, right? And even if you didn't have a business, you could build a funnel, right? My product's a little bit tougher because it's not credible to sit here and say that identifying 10% of your anonymous traffic, of which 10% of those people will be ICP, is this transformational part of what your business growth will be, right? So my tool doesn't fit in perfectly with the information, right? So, but what I go back to is every year that passes, the power of organic social media content will grow. And this is a way to build community. I mean, you can monetize if you want, but build community around these ideas, which supports anything that you do, right? So there's a view out there that acquiring customer, it's all SaaS will become commoditized super quickly. It's going to be a game of acquiring customers and then making them stick with community. I had this guy, Eric Sue, who's an SEO dude, on my show on Tuesday. And that is his belief. He thinks that and that's what that's what this is. We're charging people for it sort of, but we all, if we can move people along up on their startup journey, we'll have them for life,
100%. Yeah, because you help them get past the biggest challenge. 100% is getting in front of the right people and getting your offer in front of the right audience. Cool. Yeah. So the fine print, pretty much, just to kind of the final thoughts for the people here. Summarized advice on practical steps here, because obviously this does obviously apply more to kind of founders and senior thought leaders, if I can put it a little bit to that side. It's not necessarily only founders and CEOs that can do this, because generally the marketing teams are the ones with the problem. They understand I need to get that thought leader on LinkedIn. I need to get our CEO and the people in the company with the valuable insights. I need to get them out. Then I need to turn those insights into something. You're doing it yourself, which, I mean, if someone works under you on your marketing, it's a breeze, because they don't need to beg you. They don't need to sit you down and take videos of you. They don't need to pick your brain. But to the person here that might be looking for that advice, now asking cool, all good and well, but how do I get the value out of my company, out of the senior thought leaders, out into the world? What's the kind of the advice there that you can give?
The honest advice is you need to get them bought in to doing it. You need to sell them on what we've been talking about, right? And you need to it's a hard sell too, because it's it's not going to happen. It took me a year to find my voice, right? So it's kind of you need to get them sold on eating healthy for a year. And if they do, they're going to be in good shape, and there's a chance they could be in great shape. And if they happen to be one of these lucky people that gets in great shape, it's going to be absolutely transformational for everything, right? And then I think that you'll hear a series of objections that are similar for every CEO. It's I don't want to be famous. I don't want to get on the treadmill. I don't have any skill at that. Like, I don't, want to be doing it
Talking in
against,
front of the camera.
yeah. Like, I just don't want to do that shit. I'm too busy, like all this stuff. So the, how to overcome objection number one is you're not actually going to be famous. It's very locally famous. And it helps literally everything about your business. Like, I think even if you weren't trying to do this, CEOs should start posting on LinkedIn 3 times a week just to get the muscle, and you will be dumbfounded at the types of non-deal inbound you get. Anybody who for recruiting alone, you should post twice a week on LinkedIn. One of my friends is this guy, Curtis Matsko, Matsko. Go check him out. He spends 30 minutes a week making 7 videos. His assistant posts them. His last 3 executive hires have been completely inbound. He's like, he sells handbags. Like, he's never made a sale over LinkedIn. Massive handbag business called Portland Leather Goods. He's coming to me. He's like, how do I get more out of this? This is amazing, because he's never experienced inbound recruiting. Right. Like, so yeah, you've really got to get the CEO bought in on it, or it's not going to work. And then once they're bought in, I would start them with a ghostwriter, just to sort of, so they can see.
Because that's like a big objection usually, is who's going to write this. Like, just pay for a ghostwriter. You don't have to
start them with a ghostwriter. It's 1 or 2 hours a week is all it's going to take. And then they can sort of see how to write on LinkedIn and how some of these ideas are like coming across or whatever. And then they can painfully take it over, at some point. And then it becomes very natural. I mean, it is hard to describe to somebody who has not experienced the power of it, but it is absolutely incredible if you can unlock it, right? Like, it's just not easy for a lot of reasons we've been talking about. Nothing in life is easy.
So just like a final thought there, I think this is probably a little bit different now, but last time I checked earlier this year, I think there was a statistic like less than 10% of the 1 billion users on LinkedIn are actually posting. And if you just take that into account, and I mean, like authentic posts, not just hitting a repost button, that means that there's basically millions of people just consuming the content of a very few people out there. And if there's no better time to really start posting on a platform than it is now, because it's only going to grow, and it's not easy, and it's not going to like come with immediate results, but like you say, do it for a year, eat healthy for a year, and you might see some benefits on the other side.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the last point where we do it. So basically, for those of you still here, I've got a little special thingy for the ones who's been hanging around, just because we have been talking about offers and webinars, but also because it's Black Friday week. For those of you who might be keen to try out CXL, obviously the yearly subscription is not for everyone. We are doing a very limited thing for the next 12 hours only. You can grab 1 month of CXL at $99. That is all 120 courses, as many as you can work through in a month. That is, obviously, you're not going to work through all of them. But if you want to see what it's all about, get a little bit more of insights out of the top minds in marketing, you can get over to our website. There's a code ADAM99 just for the reference. And I'm also putting it on the screen right now. If you hit the button, grab the deal, it should take you straight to the checkout. 12 hours to grab that and to check out more of CXL. This also includes all our weekly feeds, the small snippet videos that's currently going out. Those are free now. They are not going to be free forever. We are going to turn them into part of the paid product in the coming year, over the coming months, actually. And then we're also going to be doing a lot more of these exclusive webinars. So grab that and see if there's anything you'd like or your team. And otherwise, I hope you guys got some value out of this. And thank you so much, Adam. This will be available for replay. So if anyone needs it, just shout. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right. Take care. Bye.